Hello, it's Rachel and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to do a video all about beginner's guide to composting. Why? Because I'm a beginner and I am new to composting and I want to share what I learned on my composting journey this month with you so you can also become a composter in your home. If you'd like to learn more about composting and removing chemicals and being a bit more natural and sustainable in your home, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can learn more. So let's get started. If you're a beginner just like me, you kind of want to know what composting is, right? What is composting? Composting is a great way to turn kitchen refuge into natural fertilizer for your garden. Did you know that the average household produces over 100 kilos? That's like 200 pounds of kitchen waste every year. That's a lot. That's unused, uneaten food. And we're just throwing it away. What we could be doing is putting it into a bucket and turning it into fertilizer, right? So let's learn a little bit more. Let's reduce that organic trash and turn it into fertilizer. In order for you to be successful, you do need to have these three batches: green, brown, and water. So why compost? Composting enriches your soil, helping retain moisture and suppress plant diseases and pests. It reduces the need for chemical fertilizers and actually going and buying it. You can save some money. Win-win. Why go buy when you can make your own at home, right? Composting reduces methane emissions and reduces your carbon footprint. That makes me wonder, I wonder if my house can become carbon negative. Can I do that? I'm gonna look into it. Lastly, it's bloody easy. I really had no idea how simple this was. Very easy. This is such an easy thing to do. Like I said, hand on my heart, full beginner here. Didn't really know the steps until recently. If I think about my childhood, we composted. Actually, not in my home, that's really bad. But my grandparents composted and I remember that a lot. And also at school, I remember at school they taught us. I feel very lucky that composting was actually a part of my life throughout my childhood. It's just that it never stayed with me and I never continued it. So I'm really, really grateful that I'm continuing it now. And please subscribe, follow my journey so you can learn how easy it is too. You're gonna save money and do better for the planet. If I can do it, you can do it. So let's go on to like what you can compost, because there's always a lot of mixed messaging as to what you can and what you cannot compost. So what can you compost? Basically any organic matter can be composted. But let's go back to what we discussed earlier with green and brown. Green things are classified as fruit and veg, grass clippings, weeds, plants, green leaves, anything, like think of anything green, that's what green is. But also coffee, tea, with tea bags, make sure you take out the metal and the plastic because absolutely no plastic can be composted, duh. Another great thing for green is hair. I bet you didn't think about hair. So that's like dog fur, cat fur, your own human hair. All these things can be composted. Brown matter. Brown matter is like dried up leaves, pine needles, twigs, straw, dust, wood, cardboard, paper, all of those sorts of things. What is classified as brown. Do be careful with cardboard. If it has like a plastic shiny film on the front, you kind of need to be a bit careful with that. It may not decompose. And usually what happens is when you have things that you shouldn't compost, stick out. It will stick out in the end. Actually, I turned that before and I found some alfoil in there. I don't know who did that, just pulled it out. Those things can't be composted. Here's a few no-nos. Dairy, grease, meat, fat, and a huge one, diseased plants. Don't put a diseased plant back into your compost because then when it breaks down into the fertilizer, then you're gonna be giving that disease back to your garden. So that's a big one. So remember when you're composting, the compost heats up, right? And stays at a warm temperature, especially if you want it to decompose faster and you're gonna put it in the sun. Your compost is gonna be warm. So that's why you can't put diseased things into your compost. Diseases thrive on warmth. So can you compost meat? Yes, you can. You can actually compost meat and bones. However, meat and bones take a really, really long time to decompose. So if you're okay for the process to take a longer amount of time, chuck in your meat. But also know that it does take a little bit longer. And on top of that, when you put matter in that is meat and fat and bones, it does seem to create a new odor and it does bring in more pests than what you would probably like. So do reconsider meat as an option. Rock a plant-based diet and then it's never a problem. Or if you are a meat eater, Bokashi Composting pretty much accepts everything. That could be another great option for you. What do I do in my house? In my house, we have a two-step system. Step one, we have a Bokashi. The Bokashi sits in our kitchen and we can pretty much throw anything into it. I'm going to do a video dedicated to Bokashi composting tomorrow, so please look out for that. Step two, we take the Bokashi after 7 to 9 days once we've filled it up and we put it into the tumble composter behind us. So for us, it's a very simple two-step system. If you'd like to learn more about Bokashi, you please subscribe because my next video is going to be all about Bokashi. Why did we choose this two-step system? Until recently, we lived in a third floor apartment and Bokashi was the only option available to us. It's small, it's compact, and it just worked really well. We've recently moved to a ground floor apartment, which gives us a backyard, and it means that we could add the second step into it, which was a tumble composter. So now when we fill up our Bokashi composter, we then take it into our tumble composter and we turn it, and it's going to be turning into fertilizer soon, we hope. But again, if you want to know more about Bokashi, look out for my next video out in a few days. So, like, what do we do with it? Duh. You just fill it up with organic matter. Just like what I'd mentioned before, all those different green and brown matter, that's all you need to just keep filling it up. So you just, every time you're preparing a meal, put your scraps in there. When you finish a meal and you don't finish it all, put that in there. Chuck in anything that's cardboard, that's paper. Chuck in your bills. Any deliveries that come to you that come in cardboard boxes, rip it up and chuck it in there as well. It can take some time for your compost to decompose and break down. And here's what you should be excited to look for once it's all done. When it's done, it should look something like this, which is dark and crumbly and have an earthy smell. So we're not here yet, and this is just the beginning of our journey. Obviously, the video I'm showing you right now is of somebody else's, not ours. I do hope that we're going to get to this by the end of this month, fingers crossed. Which is exactly why we're doing Bokashi, because it's a little bit faster. And I am working my butt off every single day turning this compost, because the more you move it, the hotter it gets, the faster it decomposes. So I hope to get to this amazing, dark, earthy fertilizer in the next 35 to 40 days, but hey, look, let's see. And to finish up, here are my 3 top tips for beginners wanting to compost. Number 1, the hotter the area you leave your composting bin in, the faster it's gonna decompose and turn into fertilizer. Heat is good. Number 2, keep turning and moving your compost. The more you move it, the faster it's gonna break down. So get in there with a shovel and mix it around, or get one of these rollers and keep turning it every single day. The more you do, the quicker it decomposes. And number 3, try and get a good mix of green and brown matter into your compost. Give the bin variety. Just like variety is the spice of life, so give your compost a good variety of green and brown matter and it will work faster to decompose for you. Those are my 3 tips. This is my beginner's guide to composting. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe so you can learn more. My next video is all about Bokashi, which I think everyone's gonna love.